when Shark Tank, the episode aired, we were in office 24 hours. So orders were running through and through, and our family was there helping us pack, be there with us, celebrate those small moments as well. I remember my wife's birthday was on the day when we first shot that episode. So for her to also be, I want you to do this, this is sort of our success and not just mine, gave me more confidence to believe in doing more.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to Not by the Book 2.0 Chapter 3, a space where we explore careers that don't follow a fixed syllabus and journeys that are built from scratch. Normally, when we talk about entrepreneurship, we often jump straight to success stories. But what we don't talk about enough is the process. Starting with an idea, shaping it into a brand, and slowly turning it into something that can scale beyond borders. Today's session is about that process. Not just about starting up, but about thinking long term, building globally, and leading responsibly as things grow. Today's speaker is a serial entrepreneur who knows what it means to build from zero. He's the founder of Honey Twigs, a modern wellness brand that began with a simple personal challenge, but went on to feature on Shark Tank India Season 3. But most importantly, his work represents a founder's mindset, one who focuses on scalability, sustainability, and building brands that can travel across cultures and markets. Please welcome Mr. Paras Fatnani. We're all very glad to have you, sir.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us here. My hope today is to share a little bit about my journey that can help you think about if and when you think about entrepreneurship, how does that fit into your careers as well. Maybe a lot of what I'm going to say today is going to be slightly non-traditional, but hopefully it's something that inspires you, but also helps you think about what you may want as well.
Thank you, Pastor. To explore your experiences more deeply, we would all like to ask you a few questions. So without further ado, let's begin.
Absolutely.
So the first question is, when you were a student like me, what kind of things made you feel most excited or curious, even outside the classroom?
I was quite a normal kid. I didn't know at that point if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, if I wanted to do something with business. I wanted to play sports like every child of that age. But what excited me at that point was just, even at home, I would look at a device. If it was broken, I'll use a screwdriver, try and make something out of it, fix it. So just that curiosity to try and find a solution was probably something that was there from the childhood. But from a everyday life perspective, sports, food, it was just the normal everyday things that I was thinking about at that stage as well. So nothing of being an entrepreneur, nothing about setting a business. It was more that happened with time than a plan itself.
So all of us can dream of it.
Yeah, and I think, you don't have to know that you're an entrepreneur on day zero. You actually go through that journey of either building a career in a certain thing that interests you, finding something that you feel is a real problem, and taking that to reality to more people that are facing the same challenge. If it's a dream, it's in today's world in India, it's definitely possible to be an entrepreneur very, very quickly.
So when you were a child, the dream of being an entrepreneur did not start then. It came a bit later in life.
Yeah. So for me, when I started, for me, it was, I came from a business background in the family. But I had seen a lot of lows and a lot of highs with my father's business. Maybe I was very risk averse initially. So what I wanted growing up was work at a large company, be that typical employee that has a 9 to 6, has a balanced life, comes back home, spends time. But somewhere along the way, I found a challenge that no one was solving. And maybe the environment I was surrounded in made me feel confident to be able to take that jump and go into that career as well.
That's amazing. So for the next question, as a student, what habits or qualities help you the most later in your entrepreneurial journey?
So I think I would always say being curious is important. So don't take an answer as that's the final word. Find solutions that fit something around what you're looking for. In some form, be open to learning. Don't stereotype yourself, or don't think that you don't have the capability to. Because at the end of the day, a lot of what happens around you is a subset of actions that you probably imagine yourself to have as well. So don't don't limit yourself is what I would say. And maybe that's something that I've been fortunate to do, surrounding myself with people that were keen to let me, fly in a certain direction. So surround yourself with good people, and then don't think there's a limitation in anything you're trying to do.
So we should all just believe in ourselves and keep going.
Absolutely.
When did you first realize you wanted to build something of your own instead of choosing a regular job?
So I actually went into a regular job. I wanted to learn the tricks of the trade. I wanted to understand how to build a business. Some people are more fortunate where they have an idea, they've got the support ecosystem already, either in the family or somewhere close by. I went as a solopreneur initially. Over the course of my journey, I've run 3 businesses. So in each of those times, I think I learned something that I built onto the next one, taking that as a foundation as well. So for me, I don't think the plan was to be an entrepreneur. The plan was originally to work, find a career that is in an industry that I feel passionate about. And that initially started with initially entertainment, then went into education, then came to food. So nothing was connected to each other, but the fundamentals I learned at each point actually helped me build the next business in due time as well.
So just like go with the flow and all.
Yeah, I think don't have a stereotypical plan. I think sometimes people put too much pressure on yourselves, or the family or the surroundings has certain expectations. I would say be in your comfort zone initially so that you understand what you like or you don't like, and then put yourself out to try things that you don't know. So there are 2 types of journeys. Some people have it in them innately to take risks. And so if you are that kind of a person, go ahead and from day 0, experiment something new. But if you're like me, I didn't think I had it all initially. So I wanted to learn. And there's no harm in going through that exercise of learning from others who've done it. Like today, maybe is also an example that, gives students like you a chance to learn about someone's journey. Back in the day, we had to do a lot by doing. We were learning a lot by doing. So yeah, I think there is a pathway for each.
So our next question is, what was the very first small step you took when you decided to start your entrepreneurial journey?
So for me, I think being an entrepreneur was also about only finding solutions initially. I didn't want to either create another business that was already in practice, create another product that was already running. So in multiple areas of my career, the fortunate instance I've had is discover a challenge that I faced, I believed passionately about, that needed to be solved, and then go out there, look for others that were facing a similar problem. So validate your challenges that you're facing, and then try and scale that. So in a way, I would say my start point was just figuring out the challenge that I was facing, and then using that to build a business out of it at a later point.
So it all began with just one small step.
Yeah, and to be honest, Honey Twigs actually began with the idea of us feeling that eating healthy was not easy. So if you think about it, everyone today lives a busy lifestyle. And if you want to, live healthy, there are a couple of things that are, in our view, the simple evils of everyday eating habits: salt and sugar. You can't replace sugar very easily without having alternatives. And so honey became a go-to alternative. But we didn't know how big the problem was before we spoke to about 3,000 people to see if they faced the same challenge. And when we realized that it wasn't just us and everyone had a similar experience, we said, why not find that solution that works for them? And that is how, Honey Twigs actually started.
That's amazing. It's all started. It's a simple day-to-day challenge, but we turned it into something that can be a solution for everything.
Absolutely.
So the next question is, in the beginning, what was more difficult? Starting with very few resources or believing that your idea could actually work?
I think for us, it was more about the belief on the concept. Resources were limited because for most businesses that are starting off, you're going to be bootstrapped. And being in a bootstrapped environment, being frugal with what you have is more important. At that point, your biggest strength is the concept. So we started, from our example, we started going to farmers markets or events where we got people to try the product. And the validation and the confidence we got there was probably second to none. So that sense of confidence of wanting to think this could be big came from consumers, came from people trying the product and telling us that there was something that they liked and enjoyed as well.
Yeah. So the next question, what problem or idea made you think of starting Honey Twigs?
So it was actually my own experience, back in the day in 2016. So actually, this is the 10th year we've been in business. So it's quite a milestone here for us as well. So in 2016, I was in Delhi with a friend of mine, and we started talking about, we were having, it was at the start of early parts of our career. So we realized that hustle was quite important. So we were all working long hours every day. And at that point, we were either starting to gain weight, we were not living a healthy lifestyle. And sugar was something we wanted to replace in our daily habits. So we started looking for alternatives. We looked at honey, we looked at jaggery, we looked at a few other forms of sugar, date syrup. And what became very evident was honey was something that was used very actively by people, but people didn't know that they could use it outside of home. It was something that was on the shelf at home. And so we thought, more than a medicinal product, can you make it a lifestyle product as such, where people are not just using it because when they're ill, they have to have honey, but use it as a replacement to the sweets that you're having every day as well. So that maybe was the spark at which we started thinking that this could be a bigger business.
And it became a bigger business.
We've been lucky so far with that as well. Yes.
Yeah. In the early days of Honey Twigs, what was the hardest part and what kept you going?
So the hardest part, in my view, was finding the right people to have in the team. And I think it's sometimes the most underrated element of building a business, because when you're starting, you know, as a founder, you're doing everything. And you then realize that maybe you're not the best at all of those. And you start getting people who are specialists in each of the domains, be it finance, be it product, be it different areas that maybe not are your own core strengths. So for us, I think the mistakes we made early of thinking that someone who comes with a lot of pedigree is the right person to hire versus somebody who has the passion, that maybe was one of our early mistakes. And I think as you learn, you build a team with a culture. And so we focus now a lot on that. And so, yeah, that's probably one of our biggest learnings.
So you had to surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, as a founder, you are always running 1,000 miles an hour. So it's important to have people who believe in what you're trying to do and also are committed to the concept that you're trying to, or the challenge you're trying to solve. So yeah, we've been fortunate to build a team that is driving us better, to do better, and also making sure that at the core of it all, we're thinking about, if we're making a product today, will we take it home? Will our families be able to have it? So that kind of connection to ethics is also very important when you create a team as well.
How did your parents react when you told them you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
So I actually came from a family business background. The challenge for me was initially when I told them I wanted to go into a job, they were quite surprised, as if I didn't want to pursue a business itself. Initially, I spent about 7-8 years working in companies. And at the point when I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, for them, it felt that he's now going to take risks on himself. And to be honest with you, I felt I got a lot of confidence from them, believing in the fact that I could do it. So I always tell people that, many a times there won't be a standard path. And if you're coming from an alternative journey, the people around you, the family, the friends, just sharing how you feel, why you're doing something and being honest about it, makes them support and build a connection with your journey as well.
The support was really important.
Yeah. And because as an entrepreneur, when you're starting off, you're working 16-hour days, you're out and about all the time. Sometimes you're not even thinking about your eating habits or anything else. So for us, that support meant that it wasn't just about taking care of us, but also people that were working with us. So our family actually became our extended teams, and they were there, at nights. So for example, when Shark Tank, the episode aired, we were in office 24 hours. So orders were running through and through, and our family was there helping us pack, be there with us, celebrate those small moments as well. I remember my wife's birthday was on the day when we first shot that episode. So for her to also be, I want you to do this, this is sort of our success and not just mine, gave me more confidence to believe in doing more too.
That's amazing. When did you feel that Honey Twigs was not just a small idea, but a brand that could grow across India or globally?
So I still believe it's a small idea because an idea, solving a problem that everyone knew but hadn't solved was sort of the trick of this journey that we've had. For us, building a brand happened by the consumer love that we received. And I'll tell you a story. So initially, when we were starting off, we thought we were building just a consumer brand. Very quickly, through experiences of talking to people, we learned that our use case was not just going direct to consumer, but it was also going to cafes, hotels, airlines, where all of them had a challenge of how they were using honey. So from that point of view, having the chance to explore multiple segments gave us that growth. So it was a simple idea that probably no one had solved. And that attempt to get access or be available across multiple segments made us also think that the problem is not just in India. The problem is actually across the world. So again, you don't have to. I always tell people when you're trying to build a business, don't try and think of it just as what is the market size. First, try and understand, is the problem real? And today we are present in about 11 countries. We believe that the problem is in every country, but then you have to prioritize which market has a bigger problem. So, for example, after India, the first big market we went after was the US. Then we went to the Middle East. So in each market, the nuances are different. And as you're thinking about why growth or why scale, you have to think about, is the product fit right for the consumer and the challenge they're facing as well. So I think for us, it became a ongoing, it wasn't a plan to build business in a segment A or brand for 10 countries. But just the experience and the love that we got from consumers made us realize that we can go global faster as well.
Was there ever a moment where you felt like giving up? What helped you continue through that phase?
It's a great question. Giving up as an entrepreneur, that thought comes up very often because there are so many times where you feel that the world is against you. I'll take an example. Let's say when you're trying to raise money. Right. A lot of times, 1% of founders find success early or find capital early. What we learned and what I think was something that as a founder we had to live with and experience over time is that capital is not the only paradigm to success. So Shark Tank gave us that validation. But before Shark Tank, for 6 to 7 years, we were still at the concept. So I think failures, be it in terms of how long it takes to make a product, how long it takes to get a marketing campaign, get something done, that can have hindrances. When you have limited resources, you feel the challenge more often than otherwise. So for us as entrepreneurs, the hope to do better is what keeps driving us. So failures, I think it's a very common path. What people don't talk about is, for that 1% or 0.1% that become unicorns, the 99% that are still hustling and struggling in many cases, it's not an easy journey, but it's one that is fulfilling. So if you find your purpose and passion with the project, with the business or whatever you're building, it gives you the confidence to do more. And however long it takes, there's something I was reading recently. An average business takes about over 7 years to be successful. And 60% of businesses shut down in the first 3 years. So there's a reason why only a few brands become successful. I think perseverance is something that our generation and coming generations need to have more of if they believe in something as a business further as well.
So if you believe in it, you should keep going.
I think you shouldn't stop till the time you find there is validation. There's a pro and con, right? You have to think that, are you going at a concept that doesn't exist? And that's why I go back always to saying, is the problem real? Are you, what we do every year is we talk to our consumers to understand, Are we relevant? Is the product range that we offer still in line with what they're looking for? Is there something new they want? So listen to people. Don't always think that you know the solution. Consumers are your biggest advocates and they're your biggest brand ambassadors. You may not have all the money, but the word of mouth actually spreads faster than anybody else.
Being on Shark Tank India is a dream for many founders. How did that experience change you as a person and as an entrepreneur?
The validation that a show like Shark Tank gives an individual as a founder or the brand itself as well is unparalleled. There were weeks after the telecast that if I was at an airport, if I was at a coffee shop, I was meeting somebody, they were noticing us and saying, I've actually seen you on national TV. So that gives you a sense of confidence that, yes, you were not just loved by the sharks, but you were loved by people that actually use your product as well. What changed for me personally after being on the show is the confidence that we had, which originally felt that it was just us running at a business for a long time, to then the world recognizing that today behaviors are changing. It gave us those wings to actually be more global as a brand and also experiment more. The feedback that the sharks gave us, those are people that have built billion-dollar businesses, right? And even those 2 hours that we spent with them, and now when we meet them and we learn from their experiences, it's quite refreshing, the take that they have on the business as well, because you can, as a founder, you get stuck on solving something or building for a certain scale. But when you hear from somebody who's done it differently, they also tell you things that you may think but then it's a point of reflection in saying, that aha moment comes back as well. So the confidence, the belief that the brand was bigger than just us, and the idea that what felt like a novelty was actually a brand at scale already, was something that Shark Tank definitely gave us.
Many students feel that they need to be extraordinary to become entrepreneurs. Do you think entrepreneurship is for a few special people or it can be learned over time?
I think in India today, every person has the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. But I always say entrepreneurship is a journey. You don't need to know, you don't need to have all the answers on day zero. What my experience has been, and having gone through university, college, and school prior in India, initially in school, experiment. Through college, join clubs, be a part of projects that you start that can fail. I think we're obsessed with success. Entrepreneurship as a journey will have several moments of failure. So accepting and learning how to deal with failure is what school and college can teach you early. So I always say, don't dream to be an entrepreneur, be in your everyday life. And a career in entrepreneurship is something that happens by action, not by planning. So, be even in class, right? For you, for example, even if you're leading a project in a certain class, that gives you leadership skills. That tells you how to deal with people. Entrepreneurship, 70% of entrepreneurship is people driven. 30% is business. If you can work with people well, you can be an entrepreneur. And so hone those skills early. It's generally of the fear. And I'm so glad, someone as young as you in your 7th grade is sitting here and having this conversation, because these experiences give you the opportunity to try more. So keep trying. Early in your life, failing is easy. There is not so much responsibility. There's not so much to lose out on. Make it as fulfilling, or give yourself every chance you can. So as a young kid, I always say entrepreneurship is not just about a scaled up business. It's about every small step you can take that teaches you something new that will help you in due time when you decide to be an entrepreneur.
This definitely inspired a lot of us. So on to the next question. How is pitching on Shark Tank different from motivating and convincing yourself every day before reaching that stage?
So Shark Tank is actually a culmination of a lot of effort that you take over time. It is not something that happens overnight. We went through 5 different rounds. of auditions, selections before you get there. And when you compare it to your everyday business hustle, um, I think uh, having the ability to understand what is failing. You know, the Shark Tank experience fundamentally told us that um, when you are building a business, there'll be people who will be naysayers and there'll be people who will be naysayers. If you look at several episodes that have come across seasons, not every business is successful. For us, the 2 hour pitch swung up and down, right? So the confidence to be able to tell them that, you know, this is truly something that is built for the world is something that we face every day. Every time we're meeting a new customer who's never tried our product, makes us feel that we need to convince them to do something different. So the biggest learning for me between Shark Tank and everyday life is to make sure that you believe in what you're doing and you can convince the other person, be it a customer, be it a shark, or be it an investor, that is all looking at it from your determination and then obviously the product or the business that you're building as well.
Well, that is just inspiring because just to get there is also a major achievement.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did being on the tank teach you about confidence and handling pressure?
I think, when you think about reality TV, right, it's a one shot take. So what being on Shark Tank taught us was, one, to be able to deal with pressure differently, because when 50 million people are watching you live or in one go, there are chances where you don't feel as confident sometimes as well. So what it taught us was just believe in what you're trying to do. Be able to explain your thought process clearly as well. Through that pitch, we actually started with the view of how the product was unique from a packaging point of view, to them actually telling us that, yes, that is a nuance, but the variants that we have, the infusions, are actually something that nobody's ever looked at. So making it a lifestyle engagement rather than just a one-off was something that that gave us more confidence in that conversation as well.
Many students are afraid of making mistakes. How important are mistakes in building a successful business?
Mistakes are a part and parcel of every journey, I would say, when you're building a business. So many, going back to the conversation, right? Many times businesses fail because either people aren't looking at it through a clear lens. There is a time when you need to know that a business is not working, but there's also a time when if it's working, you need to consistently be at it. When we were creating a category, honey is always been there, but honey in single serve was something new that the world hadn't seen yet. It takes time, right? So finding that space and failing multiple times, even from a packaging point of view or things that we're bringing out, failure is a part of the process. So don't be afraid of it, embrace it, learn something from every failure, so that the next time you're in that situation, you actually are dealing with it differently.
So we should learn from those mistakes.
Yeah. And failures are not like when we were growing up, for example, there was a lot of risk. There was limitation in how much risk people were ready to take. Whereas today, kids in your generation have so much more number of opportunities. So failure is actually, I think, should become a part of the process to find the solution. So don't be afraid. Failure is actually a path to success. If not, it is a key step that you'll encounter as you make your way towards building that business as well.
What's one everyday problem you think students overlook today that could actually become a strong business idea?
It's a great question. As students, when you're learning, right, today in the world of AI, a lot is changing really fast. So it's important to think that what learning methodology you're working with, or how you want to learn, right? It's no longer just about the book side. It's also about real life experiences. It's about the soft skills that matter more in today's careers. So um, getting that path, I think, is important as you think of solutions. As a business, it could be anything, right? Today, businesses are built from as simple as a technology product to as deep as a people solution. So for me, food is an area that requires solutions. The environment is changing. Sustainability is becoming a bigger topic day by day. So if for the next generation, you can solve to bring a solution that is more sustainable in any business segment that may be in, will probably be a journey to success.
If a student has an idea today but no money, what should be their first step?
Um, if you have an idea, not a money, build it. Like start somewhere, get people around you together. So, and this is probably the most typical situation most people find themselves in, that they have an idea, but not the capital. And I think we're a living example of some of that, where one of my challenges initially, or the fears I lived with, was a lot of brands around us that were coming up were raising a lot of capital immediately, right? And that meant that they were seeing growth faster. Whereas for us, it was more about a frugal approach that we were using. So for the last 3 to 4 years, we've been fully profitable. A big reason for that is to start small and get the right people and the aspects together. So, for example, if when you're building a business, start with the what, how, where, and when, right? What is the problem that you're solving? How are you going to solve it? Spend time on that before saying, I need the capital to scale the business. Capital is there. In today's time, probably is in abundance, but solutions that can remain relevant over time is probably what goes missing fast. So start small. It is not a problem to not have the scale and everything in year 1 or year 2, but build the fundamentals well. Build the core foundation strongly so that in the future it becomes easier as well.
What skill do you think students should start building early if they want to become entrepreneurs someday?
Um, I think obviously there's, with the evolution of technology, there's a lot around AI that students can learn. But one thing that I feel this generation needs more of than what the last one did is the ability to deal with people. Today we're on phones more than we've ever been. So the chance to actually get out of it and be able to understand cultures if you're trying to build a global business, to understand what fears people have, right? All of that is more important, and that you can only do by spending time with people. So my one advice in that context would be that take the time to be out and about, be with humans than with technology more in this time.
Socialize.
Yeah, and you know, it's undervalued. The soft skills initially get undervalued at times, but when you start growing in your career, a lot of things will keep changing in today's fast-paced environment. A lot is changing very fast. Between 2 years and now, AI has changed the game of how quickly technology gets built, right? Where companies had engineering teams of thousands of people, now that job can be done by 10 people. So how do you remain relevant? And that relevance comes a lot with the people skills, the soft skills, the cognitive skills that one can have as well.
If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing about entrepreneurship, what would it be?
The one thing I would tell myself, take more risks. I think I came from a journey where I had seen my family business fail. And so I was very risk averse. I trusted people a lot, which I would continue to tell my younger self to do. But take a little bit more risk. Be more open minded. And I think, just experiment because time doesn't come back for you, right? So the early days of your entrepreneurial journey are actually ones where your liability is the lowest. Your appetite to get more people around you is higher. So believe in yourself, and I would tell my younger self that take more risks.
So I think now our audience should also have a right to ask some
Sure.
questions. We've had some amazing answers. Now they should get the answers for themselves. I would like to invite the audience to ask any questions if they have it.
Hello, sir. It's an honor to meet you. What is the youngest age that you think someone can start thinking like an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I've seen someone as young as 9 be an entrepreneur. So I don't think entrepreneurship has an age. I think what's important is for you to know what is your passion. I think believing in that passion and trying something, we've seen somebody who's trying to solve the environment problem, so I don't think entrepreneurship has to do with age. It has to do with how you feel and how can you create a solution that works for others as well.
And how do you think that students like us can start thinking like entrepreneurs today?
I think by attending such events, you've had a great platform. So I want to firstly congratulate and applaud the team at Billabong High International School. I wish when I was a student, like at your age, I had people coming in and sharing these experiences with us. So put yourself out there, learn from people's experiences, but also start building something small, right? A business doesn't have to be just something that attracts 10, 20, 50 crores. Start something small, make a solution, experiment it with people in your class or around. So yeah, just start and don't think about what's next yet, but experiment faster.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So my question was that what is the role of the parents when a child wants to follow a non-traditional method or wants to take a risk?
That's a very good question. I think parents at a young age especially play a massive role in the confidence that a kid has, and gives them the ability to think out of the box. Today's Mark Zuckerbergs or Ritesh Agarwals, if they didn't have, Ritesh talks about this a lot, like even from a young age, his family support has meant that he was able to explore things that otherwise people couldn't. So a role of a family member or a parent, I would say, is to encourage young kids to make mistakes because you are the future leaders of our country. So we need to get you guys started early to think about what the world will be tomorrow as well.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Speaking of parents, my question is, what role could parents play in helping their children balance creativity and academics?
All work and no play does make Jack a dull boy, right? So think of, I think for parents, my advice would be that the world of the jobs of tomorrow are changing fast. So yes, the technical skills and the knowledge is important, but what's even more important today is how people can deal with people. And that ability, the school gives you if you're able to engage in clubs, in activities, in inter-school competitions. So the personality of the person is starting to get built early. And I think as the world is becoming more and more competitive, the age at which people are starting is becoming younger and younger. So it is, in my view, I think the ability to allow people to start and think that finding that traditional technology, consulting, or banking career is what success means is a myth. We have enough success stories today. A very close friend of mine, I'll give you an example here. He started a brand called Licious. Has anybody heard of Licious? Right? So Abhay Hanjura, he was an investment banker before that. His sister is a singer. She used to work in media. Both of them from a stable career decided to go into careers that people didn't imagine. In 2016, when I was starting, he was starting his entrepreneurial journey at the same time. He decided to build a company that was selling meat online. Who had imagined that before, right? So if he didn't have the support of people around him saying, yes, there is something you can do about this, even if that was a slightly at a later age, I think family plays a big role in allowing you to feel the confidence, but also be able to take risks. So um, it's it's a part of the journey. Not every entrepreneur, and I think it's also important to know that not every entrepreneur will be successful. So, but what you learn in that journey of trying or doing multiple things or taking a non-traditional career can actually help you further as you become a better human being as well.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
My name is J.K. Roslyn. I am a poet doing poetry workshop.
Oh, wonderful.
So I just came to see what you're doing. And I have to tell you, I appreciate very much of the fact that you're doing something on entrepreneurship and connecting with children as young as this.
Yeah.
And from your talk, I could understand that each of your fact that you've mentioned is so true. Only then you can talk like what you've done. And I very much appreciate, and I want the children should be inspired.
Right.
And rather than now we say the present times are so bad, jobs and running abroad for all this education and then not knowing what to do. If they can start so young, our country, the benefit of our country is the large numbers we have. We, the youngsters, should make use of it, love our country, and do something for our country. And I'm sure the country will definitely support them. Thank you.
Absolutely. And one point just on that thing that I wanted to add, in today's world, everyone's talking about where's the future. It's getting built today in India, right? A lot of people, including myself, and I'm happy to admit this. I started thinking that being abroad, working in in the UK for me at that point, or living in the US for a lot of people is that dream for the future, right? But today, the future is here. We're all coming back to build in India. So you may decide to study and get experiences anywhere. But the opportunity that India offers you today, I don't think any other country at this scale can offer you that quickly as well.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, in today's world, how important is academic performance compared to skills like adaptability, resilience, and creativity?
I believe that in today's world, right, just look around. There's 50 of you with a very similar experience, with a very similar background. They will all go into the job market at the same time. You have to think what will differentiate you. Today's world is becoming, while it's growing and adapting fast, it's becoming more and more competitive. And in a time like now, being adaptive and the ability to actually embrace change has more value than anything else. So many young kids are going into, most recently what I've seen is they want to work in the founder's office. The founder's office is nothing but giving you a chance to actually experience a little bit of everything, right? And so, to you, yes, academics is important, but building a personality or building those soft skills is equally important. You'll remember, depending on the career path you choose, there'll be parts that you'll remember of your academics and use. But if you're being an entrepreneur, 60% of what you'll do is not what you studied, is what the people around you taught you about yourself and what the world around you is operating like as well.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
So, what were your signs as a child that your parents maybe not know that it was your trait of running a successful business?
Wow. I think if my parents knew before, they would have made sure that I ran a business early. I think as parents, right? I was lucky that when I was growing up, my parents gave me the chance to try everything. So I don't think I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't think they knew I was going to be an entrepreneur or be successful at it. I feel like there's no typical answer to this, right? Not every person's journey is going to be the same. The two things I'd say, one for parents is give as much freedom and flexibility to the kid to try things. And for you is be open to new experiences, because many a times what we see is kids, have seen somebody be successful at one thing and they run behind that. the non-traditional ways that are coming about today are the ways of the future, right? No one knew sustainability was going to be such a big business area 10 years ago. But today, the next billion-dollar business maybe is going to be in somebody who's creating a sustainable solution, right? So,
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
As a parent, how would you support child's interest without pressuring their outcomes or careers?
so for parents, I would say, let them get involved in every club that. So the beauty of today's schooling system, right, is the fact that there are interest groups of different areas. So if you want to, for example, if you want to build a career in finance, you may have an opportunity either to get mentorship from somebody who comes from a finance space, or be able to, I don't know, join a club. Some schools may have a club in finance. So um, it is important to just keep trying, because you don't, at the end of the day, the typical doctor engineer career exists, but today's generation needs future leaders, and those leaders are coming with skills um, that are not just taught in classrooms, they're taught outside classrooms as well. So for parents, give kids the flexibility, give them the freedom to think and believe in something they're trying to do. And for you kids, I think what's also important is take that responsibly. Don't take that freedom as, I'm going to have this and I'm going to try everything, but think responsibly as well, because it's the trust that they're putting in you to try, and you need to honor that as well.
Thank you, sir. Hello, sir. So, what kind of real life exposure can students actually understand that how businesses work?
That's a great question. So, from a real life perspective, right, there's two or three things. One, obviously now at this stage you're a little too early, too young, but as soon as you're 15, 16, you can actually start doing internships. And I think those times when you're working in, and I suggest pick smaller companies, because in a bigger company, it's like, are you going to be a small fish in a big pond, or are you going to be a slightly more important person in a smaller company? Your learnings at an early age will be much more in smaller companies early. That'll give you the exposure to understand and look at things differently. Second, be open to mentorship, right? I was lucky. My teachers were close mentors to me. I was able to work in the industry early. I got the exposure from industry stalwarts who kept in touch. And many a times it's not about asking for help all the time, but just sharing something. And building that connection, which is true and honest, will help you learn not just by doing, but also by their experiences as well.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. So, if you're a parent today, what would you focus on in building in your child to prepare them for an uncertain future?
Wow. So there's so many questions from students that are thinking what our parents should do. I mean, that's a point to applaud all of you on as well. I would say the one skill or one area that's evolving faster than what we know, or this coming generation will know also, is how AI changes tomorrow's business. So I would, responsible AI is important. Ethics in the use of AI are critical, but I would say to parents, open more opportunities for students to experiment with AI, be it through tools that they're using, be it through products they're using, or just on an everyday basis as well, give you access to experiment with those things as well. Because I think the future involves things getting done more efficiently with the use of technology than it ever has before. And if you have to be successful, we hear a lot that is AI going to take the jobs of tomorrow? I always say that the people that know AI are definitely the people that are going to take the jobs from you. So learn it early, learn it soon, so that you can actually embrace the change, then be a naysayer at that point.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I have two questions. First, what is that one quality you look in people while working with them? And second question, how should we teachers motivate students for towards working towards business or entrepreneurship?
It's a good question. So first, I mean, and I'm going to say something that maybe sounds a bit cliche, but what I'm really looking for in people is authenticity and ability to take feedback. Many a times, what ends up happening is um, there's a barrier that people create to showcase themselves a certain way because they feel that's what the person on the other side wants to see. Actually, today it's the opposite. We want to see the real, true person because we're not just hiring the person, we're investing in their future in some regard. So I love to see when people are vulnerable. I love to hear of situations where they've failed or they've not realized their full potential on something, because that recognition is half the part to success for me as well. Like, they won't make the same mistake if they've actually understood where they were wrong. So that's first. And then second, to your question about what can teachers do, I think just give them more and I say this with a lot of humility. I think today's teachers are much smarter than maybe 2 decades ago. But even today, the soft skills, I think we're seeing a lot more people come out into the job world who are academically uber smart. But what can we do to make them more? What can we do to make them better human beings and be able to work with people from different cultures? I think if you can create more opportunities for cross-cultural engagements, I think that'll help people be more accepting of each another in today's time as well. Okay, there's 2 people who've been raising their hand for a while, so we'll quickly do that, and then.
Hello, sir. So, from a student's point of view, what ability or skill should we focus to become entrepreneurs in future life?
I don't think there's one specific skill, but I always say problem solving is probably most critical. You have to think that what you're trying to build is not just a solution for you, but is a solution that works for people. As an entrepreneur, sometimes what can happen is you're blindsided by knowing a problem and saying, this is all I'm going to do, but constantly hear from people, right? So to be an entrepreneur, the first thing I would say is be a good listener. And I think that's undervalued at times in the journey of hustle and skill and growth. So be a good listener. And second is don't be afraid to fail, because a lot of times you'll hear that there's a lot of people going with you, but by the time you get to the top, many a times you're alone. So keep people that you care about or that care for you, keep them along, and just take the time to go through that journey. Don't rush everything.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I want to ask you that as a student, I may not have a big idea yet. What small things do you think I can start doing right now to think like an entrepreneur?
So, what's also important is not every person needs to be an entrepreneur. Sometimes there's a second in command who's also entrepreneurial. So think of it this way, right? There are entrepreneurs and there are entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneurship venture needs somebody behind who's actually entrepreneurial, that is able to scale that business alongside the founder. So small skills that you can try and gain as you think about either an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur that you want to be. One is asking the question why, right? Sometimes, and I'm talking about some basic things, right? Like, obviously there are technical skills you can build on. We spoke about how can you use AI, how can you think about working in teams and groups. But the simple things of asking why is this solution the best? Can we do something differently? That changes perceptions. That brings out creativity, and that brings out innovation. And tomorrow's businesses will need innovation more than it ever has before.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. If you had to start a business as a student in today's world with AI and all, what would be your first steps?
First steps or first area of business? Sorry, what is
first steps? Like, what would you think of? Like, what area you want to go in?
Yeah.
First thoughts.
So 2 things. I think one, for me personally, food is a challenge. India is going through a protein deficiency in some regard compared to the world. So I would think about and depends on what your passion is, right? For me, food is a passion. For you, for example, if technology is a passion, right, you should think what is a challenge that people of your age and people that use that technology the most are facing today. So, for example, the reason I use protein as a conversation point is people talk about protein deficiency in India, right? Um, India is the largest meat-eating country, but it's largely vegetarian. They're all contradictory in its own sense, right? So, first step is to go evaluate whatever challenge you think exists. Go take do a survey, do either large scale questionnaires or do individual one-on-one focus groups, but try and understand more about the real challenge. Second is think about, are you going to be somebody who's going to solve this for the long run, or are you just thinking of it today? So do something you feel passionate about and do something that people around you are seeing the same challenge with.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I think we've had some lovely questions from the audience. Now we'd enter rapid fire round.
Sure.
I'll ask you some questions. Try to answer it as fast as you can.
Okay.
One decision that accelerated your growth.
Quitting my job.
One belief about business you had to unlearn.
Capital gives growth.
A habit that helps you think clearly.
Every morning I list out everything that I need to do that day, and every time I finish a task, I mark it with a green pen.
One global brand you admire and why.
So there's actually a couple, but Amazon as one. They are probably one of the most customer-focused brands that I've seen in my lifetime. And then closer to home, maybe Oyo. Also because what started from a single problem or solution to then solving across categories, I think they've really scaled businesses strong. And maybe also Zoho. Zoho taught us how to, without fundraising, how to bootstrap a global company.
Early mornings or late nights.
Early mornings.
One skill every student should build before college.
Public speaking.
Risk taking, learned or instinctive.
Instinctive, but can be learned.
One question you ask yourself before making big decisions.
Will the 16-year-old myself or a 60-year-old myself will they be happy with this decision?
If you were 16 today, what would you start learning immediately?
AI.
So thank you for showing us that entrepreneurship is not just about starting companies. It's also about developing the ability to think independently, build patiently, and lead responsibly as things grow. Your journey shows us that scalable success comes not from rushing. It comes from understanding people, making thoughtful decisions, and staying adaptable in a changing world. Here in Billabong High International School, we aim to prepare how to realize our dreams so that we can navigate the complexities of the real world. Today's conversation has done exactly that. So thank you for joining us for Not By The Book 2.0 Chapter 3. See you in the next one.
Thank you everyone for being here and thank you for having us.